What's up, Wade?
What's good, bro? How you living?
Phenomenally.
Same, brother. Same. Bro, so, I'm definitely gonna let you get your second listen in, but, based off this
My
first
second listen.
from Travis, bro. Um,
Oh. Yeah, bro.
this
We shouldn't
man
talk about
texted
that
me,
right
he
now.
said, he said, trash. I was like, oh shit.
I
I
was I was about
definitely, that shit was
I was
hilarious,
about
bro.
the song was deep when I sent it. When I sent it. So I mean I had kind of given it a fair shot in some ways.
No, bro, for sure. That's hilarious. But like, to your point, so like how I told you, like the essence of like those first three songs, I appreciated those, like the nod to like the older hip hop school vibe. But yeah, bro, after that, I felt like every song started out good, but the longer it carried, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And that's not for every song on the album, but it was like majority of them for sure.
Yeah.
There's probably like
Finished it yet.
Yeah, there's probably like four songs on there like I genuinely really like and like will listen to for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But
man. I don't know. It was just like all over the place. Like the beats were just kind of all over the place. Like I don't know. I just didn't really
yeah,
didn't it didn't connect with me, I guess.
yeah. No, I feel you, bro, for real. But shoot, you ready to get into this combo?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's run it. So welcome everybody. Um, Old Head Young Shoulders podcast with your host Jalen Charles, my boy Sam Stovall as always. Um, it's great to be here again. I know it's been a minute. Schedules get busy sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But glad that we're here and worked it out. So today, the topic of conversation, mindset. Um, Me and Sam always have a lot of conversations about mindset in different ways. Bro, literally since as long as we've really known each other, um, we've dove into these conversations, and I think um, there's always been a great respect between us for understanding we can help each other grow through conversation, mindset wise, right?
Yeah.
So, as we get into this conversation, I just want to say I think what I've learned lately is that um, I feel like we strive to want to think a certain way because we have to formulate a type of thought process in order to survive, be successful, to grow, to understand ourselves as individuals, right? But sometimes there are those things inside of our mind that we aren't sure how to overcome, or like aren't aware where they even like arrive from, because we've kind of just been used to these things. And I think sometimes with mindset, what I've noticed lately, this is something I want to get your piece about right now, is how you think your environment shaped your mindset early on in your life.
Man, that's an interesting one, man. Like I think a lot of it is probably subconscious, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
especially from certain things that happen in childhood or whatever that kind of like carry into how to turn into how you carry yourself
Mm-hmm.
as a person. Um, like an example I can give of that is I like never once saw my dad raise his voice at my mom or myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he would discipline me so with my mom, but neither of them really ever yelled at me or my sister. But yeah, I never saw my dad yell at my mom, and I think it took me a while, like to pretty recently, to kind of make the connection. Like, man, like, dude, I mean, I'll never yell at any. Like, I don't think I've ever yelled at anybody. There's been a couple times where like I've
Hmm.
kind of stepped out of character, but like for the most part, I really don't ever really raise my voice, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons why. And so,
Hmm.
you know, my mindset on that is like I just don't ever feel like anything is, I shouldn't say anything, most situations or most things aren't worth that energy, to the sense where I feel like when you're yelling, it kind of alters how you are, ultimately reacting to the situation
And processing. Right.
and processing. Yep. And so I guess I don't find most things don't get me to that state, you know.
I feel you.
So that's kind of an example. But then more generally speaking, like a lot of it, I think is just related to just playing sports. Growing up, like it kind of just gives us this mindset of just. That's part of the reason I think hobbies in general are so important. Is it gives you something to work at and really understand like what it means to have a mindset that is beneficial. With your consistency and things and habits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I think um, I've been having like a lot of conversations lately that I have found myself relaying myself back to that same thing, like when it comes to sports. Um, because like one thing my aunt used to say is that I was a very like as a kid, I was very like responsive to my parents and like respectable of my parents. Um, I didn't really like step out of line that much as a kid.
Yeah.
But like during this conversation, what I told her is I don't even necessarily think it was always about like the structure in my household because like as you know, like I'm not going to get into this, but like the structure in my household was not like what it seemed to be from the outside. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there was like a big misconception there. So what I had to tell her was that um, a lot of that came from sports and just having like the mindset that I needed to do certain things in order to, I guess, remain like in a safe space in terms of like my home, right? So it was more
Mm-hmm.
about the mindset of like survival and compliance than me just being that way characteristically.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So that was something that
It was
now
like instilled in you.
exactly, and like I didn't realize this when I was a kid.
Hmm.
Um, but like as I got older, I started to realize that like I was really, if I didn't play sports, I don't think I would have been as like compliant as I was. But when you have that
Yeah.
coming from so many different angles, like because I was telling her, in order to be coachable, you have to be compliant. You have to be
Hmm.
disciplined. You have to have a certain mindset of like acceptance and surrender. And I think all that ended up correlating to like how I existed at home because like my sister was the exact opposite of me. But I could see how I could have ended up on the spectrum of my sister without having that mindset brought into my life through sports.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
man. It gives you a certain kind of discipline.
it really does, bro. Like in so
Yeah.
many different areas of your life.
Yeah.
Um, because I can't like wholeheartedly say that like the way I was raised like by my dad, it wasn't beneficial to me as a person.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so like I was always looking from like outside sources to understand like a certain type of mindset in order to like survive in my environment.
Yeah.
So that's like how my environment structured my mindset to just become very like survival oriented, untrustworthy,
Mm.
um, and honestly, bro, very like negative. Um, I developed a very negative mindset that like carried on with me for a long ass time.
Mm.
So I think so like to your point, it was kind of opposite for us, right? Like you had the example of the not yelling, and
Yeah, yeah,
like you still got disciplined, but it probably was a lot different from the way that I did, right?
yeah, probably way different.
Um, but then I see the opposite side of the constant, attack and screaming and fighting and the, physical, emotional abuse, things like that.
Mm.
And I think growing up, I think that's why like my mindset with my friends was more of like, be the Jalen that is kind of just like carefree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, reckless to a certain degree.
yeah.
Because like I was so contained, at home. So like my mindset outside of my home environment and my friend environment was, oh, you're free now.
Hell yeah, you can do whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let go of any inhibitions, let go of value, let go of morale. That can't
yeah,
exist
bro.
outside of your home because you have to learn how to be you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, bro,
Now
that was
you put that in a really good way, man. That was good. Yeah, man. I think you said it perfectly. Like your environment creates a lot of your mindset. And I know my parents definitely had their struggles. They just didn't really make it like visible,
yeah.
you know. And so that's like, without a doubt, it played into who I am. And like, what better or worse, there's probably certain times when I shouldn't be as calm, like there's certain things that come up where I probably shouldn't be as calm as I am, or I probably should get a little bit angry, and that's something that Ray has said to me before, like, how does this not affect you,
Right.
and so it has its positives and negatives, but yeah,
Definitely, bro. And it's like, I honestly have always felt that way about you too sometimes. Like, through life
yeah,
and certain situations, I'll be like, bro, how are you not mad right now? Like,
yeah,
bro, even like little situations where like that would happen, even like inside our friend group, I think there are like some of those times, bro, when like I would be angry at something, but like you wouldn't be, I'd be like, bro, how are you not mad right now? Like, how does this
hell
not
yeah,
piss you the fuck off? You know what I mean?
yeah,
But then I have to
yeah,
learn,
bro.
like, he just doesn't think that way, I guess. Because me,
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
livid right now. Like, I'm hot, bro. I'm ready for fucking war. Like,
Shit, I already know, man. That's why we was meant to be homies, bro. Cause we had to yin and yang that shit, bro.
we really did, bro. There were multiple times where you had to be like, yo, like, Jay, like, chill out, bro. Like, it's
Yeah,
not that deep. And I'm like, no, bro. That shit, like, we
hell
need to
yeah.
deal with this right now. Like, I'm not having this at all. And you're like, nah, dude, like, come on.
Cool, bro. Let's walk away.
Like, I'm not walking away. This motherfucker doesn't know me, bro. I'm not walking away. I got something to say, and if you don't like what I have to say and he got a problem with it, then I'm gonna beat his ass. Like, that's
Yeah.
literally how I was, bro. But like a lot of that anger and that mindset was literally coming from my home environment and me not being able to like express myself mentally in my own home environment. Like, I had so much like pent up fucking anger.
Mm.
Shit was crazy. And so like that led me to understand that, like, so moving forward, right, into like when we get older, for your example, like in your relationship now with Ray, like in my relationship like with Rachel, I started to realize that, well, me and her both started to realize this, but I don't know how this is for you. But like I started to realize that a lot of the negative things that I went through in my life, were always serving as triggers inside of conversation. Like Rachel and I could be having like a regular conversation, bro, and like there'd be like one little off thing that was said and like I would snap. But I like I didn't understand why, and of course like things like therapy and stuff like that can help, but figuring out like what the root is, I came across, like 15 cognitive distortions. So like learning about mentality a lot more like in depth, right? And so that's like why I wanted to have this conversation with you. So after I sent that to you, and you looked over that list, like how did that make you feel? Like what did it spark for you? Before we actually dive into what they are, I kind of just want to get an understanding of how it made you feel when I sent it to you.
Yeah, dude, I was honestly surprised that I had never seen that before. I probably have recognized it, but the first thing I thought was that it's good to read through it gives you something to like assign like to your thought process, right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
basically breaking down different types of thought processes into different categories. Then you can identify when you're doing it, and then like you can try to change it at the very
Exactly.
least. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So that's why I thought it was really good because a lot of it was like I didn't think about until I read it, and then I was like, oh, I do that all the time, or oh,
Mm-hmm.
I see someone that does that all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, like, I think it's important. I think those are really important to just be just to recognize those.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head by saying when you can assign a definition to your thought process, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that might be a struggle that a lot of individuals have is that because I know I fell victim to this at one point of kind of just saying, that's just how I think, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Right.
reading this list, you understand, like, okay, yeah, I do think that way, but damn, like, that's, I shouldn't be thinking that way. That's backwards for me. Like,
Hmm.
you start to realize the contradictions inside your own mind that are constantly happening and the battles your mind is constantly fighting just between negative and positive thoughts sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how the process of your brain is choosing to always go for the negative over the positive. But then it's like, why?
Hmm.
It's trying to understand like that why factor. Um, and so for you, like, what were some of the actually before we get into that, I want to read these off for the people, right?
Yeah. I was about to say just listening real quick.
Um, and like we're not going to get into every single definition. Me and Sam are probably going to talk about 4 or 5 of them, but we really want I want this to be out there for people to look this up for themselves that haven't heard of it, and for them to be able to read into it and grow from it. Use it as a tool for yourself. That's why we're here. You know what I mean? Not even 30 years old, either one of us, but we feel like the knowledge is just as important for our generation and the younger generation to get ahead of this. And once again, hence the title, Old Head, Young Shoulders. So anyway, so starting with number 1, it's polarized thinking. Polarized thinking is when you have an all or nothing or black and white thinking pattern. Mental filtering. Mental filtering consists of 2 types of distortions. Both occur when a person focuses solely on the negative aspects of an experience. That happened to me a lot, to be honest. Overgeneralization. Overgeneralization thinking occurs when a person focuses on a single event that occurred and makes a conclusion based on this single piece of negative evidence. Number 4, jumping to conclusions. There are 2 types of this distortion. Both consist of jumping to conclusions and making assumptions that are not based on any actual evidence. I feel like that one can relate to a lot of the masses, to be honest.
Hmm.
Because a lot of us assume, and bro, I mean, this even relates to the little snippets, right, of like what media puts out for the world to see, and then we all draw our own conclusions and assumptions based off of like an article title or a 10-second video. That relates to so many aspects of our society today, right?
Bro, even to the point where like debates over issues are
Yeah.
becoming like black or white.
Yeah.
It's like they'll tell you the good that you want to hear, but they won't tell you the bad,
Yep.
on both sides.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, that goes back to like the mental filtering for sure, but it definitely still relates. I mean, it just relates to so many things in so many other ways that we're about to get into. So, number 5 is catastrophizing. That's when thoughts occur when the magnitude is exaggerated or diminished. 6, personalization. When engaging in this type of distortion, an individual will take things personally. This will cause a direct and personal reaction to everything others do or say, even if it was unrelated to them. That's like a narcissistic mindset, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7 is blaming. This mind trap consists of blaming others for their problems. It is different from personalization in that the person directs the blame externally. Labeling. Labeling is an extreme form of overgeneralization. When this type of thinking occurs, you assign judgment to yourself or others based on one negative occurrence or incident. So that was kind of like what I was talking about earlier. That's like one struggle I always used to have a lot, was always relating, like labeling a situation as something that I had experienced in the past, and assuming that this situation was going to turn out the same way or was the same exact thing, right?
Yeah. It's like what people do with relationships all the
100.
time. You know, you'll date someone and then it went bad and you're like, I can't date anybody now.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can love anybody ever again.
Right.
Or even like being inside of relationships, that happens a lot. Is, you know, people bringing their past into the current relationship, whether that be their past relationship, their history with their family environment, any of that, always bringing that into the relationship and making the discussion or whatever it may be blow up out of proportion because you're
An
now,
event in the past.
yeah, because you're now labeling this situation as what you went through. And this could have been 7-something years ago, 10 years ago, when you were a child. But you're labeling this situation as the same thing you went through then, and it's nowhere close to the same thing.
Yeah.
It's nowhere close. Number 9, always being right. I think everyone that knows me knows that this relates to me for sure. This thinking pattern causes a person to always have the need to be right. They internalize their opinions as facts and will put others on trial to prove that their own opinions or actions are the correct ones. Wow. For the first time I read that shit, I was like, I wonder what my friends really think about me. Because...
You be doing that, but it's not to the point where like I don't fuck with you.
Yeah.
Then again, I just understand it. You know what I'm saying? I bet,
Yeah.
bro, he just tripping, bro. He just mad. He just.
Bro, the crazy thing is though, like, I really swear on everything I love that I be right. Cause like sometimes the way I think about things is like, I'm not necessarily talking about things for the moment, but I'm talking about like a scenario and how it could possibly play out, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. Sometimes I just be like, dude, I'm not gonna be wrong about this. Like, I just know I'm not gonna be wrong about it. But no, I do be tripping sometimes, bro. I do
But
know
then,
that.
I mean, some people, it's not like that extreme. It's more like you maybe ever talk to someone and like you can tell they're getting irritated because you're questioning them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they get irritated or defensive because you're like questioning them, or like you're like, I don't know about that, or you're just like, nah, I don't agree with that, or I think this way, and then they just shut down and get irritated, and then you're not even having a conversation anymore. Now it's just became an argument.
Yeah. Now
Like
you're.
my sister does that all the time, bro. And it's pretty much that. It's pretty much what we just talked about, but not on like as high of a level.
Yeah, I feel you. No, you're right though. You are right, because there definitely are those people where it's like, if they're literally not right, they're not even entertaining this discussion
Exactly.
or your perspective or anything. And like, I used to be bad with that, but now like I'm not really bad with that no more. Like, I'll listen to other people's perspective and take it in, but sometimes I'll still be like, I think
Yeah.
I'm, you
Yeah.
know,
But
I,
that's cool. I mean, at
like
the
I
end of the
hear
day,
you, like I hear
yeah,
you, but bro, I think I'm right. You know what I mean?
yeah. But that's cool. At the end of the day, it's how you respond to it. You know,
Facts. That's
like
very
if you're just like, yeah, like I see what you're saying, but I still think it's gonna be this way. You just can't let it influence like your actions. Like you were talking about,
yeah.
like if it's your idea of like going to a place and you're like, I don't want to go there because the last like, but you should still go and try to have a good time or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's very true. So number 10, should statements. This distortion is statements of what a person should do, must do, or even shouldn't do. The statements are enforced on themselves or others. So again, I feel like that's big narcissistic tendencies in that mindset. Uh, that's like very controlling. That's like
Hmm.
a very controlling mindset, right? Emotional reasoning. Whatever emotion a person is feeling during this thought distortion must be true in their mind. One's emotion is accepted as fact because all logical reasoning is blocked. Control fallacies. The control fallacy, cognitive distortion, is defined by two beliefs: external and internal control fallacies. External control fallacy is the belief that a person's life is completely controlled by external factors and fate has already been decided. Internal control fallacy. Internal control is the belief that a person has complete control of themselves and their surroundings. This belief assumes you are responsible for the pain and happiness of those around you. If someone isn't happy, they will assume it was their fault. Fallacy of change. This thought distortion assumes that others should change to suit their own interests. Fallacy of fairness. Fallacy of fairness assumes that all things in life should be applied and measured based on fairness and equality. That's wild. Heaven's Heaven's reward fallacy. This belief is related to the fallacy of fairness, and that if we lived in a fair world, we would be rewarded fairly. Heaven's reward fallacy distortion is based on the reasoning that you should be rewarded based on how hard you work. So, going through those 15, what were the two you felt like really resonated with you?
Yeah, when I was I had I'd ended up with two of them: emotional reasoning and the fallacy of fairness.
Mm-hmm. What is
And
that?
I only picked those two because I just feel like they're, damn, I don't know. After we talked about those, I was gonna say like they're the most prevalent, but I think they're all pretty prevalent.
Yeah.
But the reason that I picked first off the um, emotional reasoning is because I think it's something that almost everybody does. Like if you're
Yeah.
trying to have a conversation with someone, if you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to have, let's say, about anything important, right? If you're trying to have a conversation, let's say it's political, um, you can't be processing everything with your emotions and then giving an emotional response because you won't get anywhere. Like I hear people talk about topics like I feel like this, I feel like that, and it needs to be more like I think this is how this should be, and instead of trying to attach your emotions to everything, I think you can't get anything solved that way. I
I
guess is
agree,
what I'm
bro.
trying to say.
I agree. I definitely agree, and like to a point that you made, it's because I was reading this in a different book that I'm currently reading right now. It's a mindset book. It's called Let Go. But what they talk about is that all thoughts aren't correlated to emotion. But often, what happens inside of our brain is that when we have thoughts, we find emotions for those thoughts instead of just to your point, like instead of understanding to just say like this is how I'm thinking and choosing to like surrender to those thoughts and understand them. It's more of like, okay, I'm thinking this way, so how does this make me feel? But
Yeah,
those two shouldn't always combine with each other, because some thoughts are pretty irrational, or it's just a curiosity or you trying to understand something that can't be understood. So you can't correlate emotion behind every thought, because now you're forcing yourself to feel some type of way that you weren't even feeling when you thought this, right? So
Yeah, exactly, bro.
what is your second one?
My second one is the
The
fallacy of
fallacy of change.
fairness.
Yeah.
Yeah, fallacy of fairness. Um, because shit ain't fair, bro. This is something needs to be known from the jump. Like, I mean, that's like the number one lesson that you get taught, bro, when you're a kid. You know what I mean? Like, shit is not
That's
fair,
true.
bro. So people need to understand that,
Shit
like,
ain't fair, bro.
shit is just not fair, you know? It never has been, bro.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But no,
But it's
I
true,
mean, you're you're absolutely right. Shit
you
is
know?
not fucking fair.
And
Yeah.
so to think that, like, things should always be fair, I don't know. I think it's ludicrous.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's pretty naive too. Especially like, just like even when you look at the history in America, I don't really understand how people could believe that something should be based off of fairness and equality. I mean, just look
Exactly,
at
bro.
literally like if you look at life, I think it's kind of immature to think that way, honestly. I think for me, that's the best way I could put it. Like, it's pretty immature. Because what should be fair about life? What has ever been fair about it? I think that's the number one
Yeah.
question. People that think that way, I feel like that's the number one question they should ask themselves. What's ever been fair about life?
Yeah, I think it like it, you know, people that feel that way, I think have never really struggled, would be my guess.
I agree with that as well.
You know, like
I agree with that as well.
anyone who's been through any type of struggle knows that. You know, it's just it's
Yeah,
what
that
is
life.
what was the definition again of that one?
What'd you say?
What was the definition of that one again? Like of the
Um,
fallacy of fairness?
uh, 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 that all things in life should be applied and measured based on fairness and equality. And then the second part of it is just like, however, in reality, not all things work out the way we expect them to, and we feel angry and resentful towards those things in life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, it's like how you respond, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
it like obviously you're gonna feel like, you know, everyone goes through shit like that wasn't fair,
Yeah.
you know, but
It's like,
you can't let it deter you.
no, you
You
really
can't let
can't.
it knock you off your path, you know.
Mm-mm. You really can't. And I don't know, I just feel like when it comes to people, when it comes to fairness, sometimes I guess there is kind of like a fine line, right? Like in situations where you feel like you've been betrayed. Um, like when people kind of walk over you and you don't see it coming. Of course, the world we live in, you can tell somebody, well, it's a dog eat dog world. You should have saw that shit coming. You got to protect
Yeah.
yourself. But to
Yeah.
your point, people that haven't been through things don't think that way. So this is just
Yeah.
like my other like version of it, of saying, okay, well, maybe some of the people that think this way about fairness go through these struggles too, right? That like they don't see someone portraying them in some sort of way, or they don't see a certain situation with this outcome, but then when that happens, they're like, well, how's that fair? Because I've been doing boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that happens in so different many facets, like corporate. Um, I don't know, bro.
Sports.
Sometimes it even feels like that happens, like in friendships, bro. Like,
It does. Just
so I feel,
relationships in general.
yeah, bro. So I feel like I don't know why I do this, but like I feel like I kind of like try to decipher my friendships a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more that like I learn in life,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I feel like in friendships, bro, shit isn't fair. And I feel like that's what sometimes can cause distance and separation. Um, because I think sometimes what happens in friendships, we low-key become like dependent on the friendship in some sort of way, right? So like I
Yeah.
actually had a situation like this uh, with Justin, and like we got into this thing, bro, about like a vacation we were supposed to take together. And I'm not gonna get into the whole thing. Like I'm not gonna put our conversation out there like that. But um, basically, it was about a vacation we were supposed to take together, and like it didn't play out the way that like we talked about it. And like I literally said that to him, basically like, bro, this isn't fair. Like we've been planning this for like a year or whatever, and then you just decide to do this, like. So even so, like, and that's my example for that when it comes to like
Yeah.
friendship. But I was wrong for thinking that way. The
Well,
more I thought,
what I was gonna say, is like, I almost don't think the element of fairness should be there.
right?
Like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
shouldn't be a matter of was this fair or not. He's my friend,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly, exactly. And that's why
Yeah.
like I had to evaluate like and understand that I was wrong for that, because it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, even if we have certain plans or whatever, inside this friendship, if we decide to make certain decisions that we feel like are going to make us happier,
Hmm.
we have to live with those. And we
Yeah.
can't feel the resentment or the anger behind those decisions that are made. With, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's not about what's fair, it's about what's going to make us happy
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So, um, but yeah, man, I don't know. That has a lot of depth to it. Fairness
That
mindset.
one does. That one does. Like I think fairness too. Like another thing that we get caught up in fairness is gender roles. You
Oh
know?
shit. Okay, yeah. Go what? Yeah,
Yeah.
go, bro.
I'm not even gonna get specific. I'm just saying
Okay.
just
Okay.
just in general. So one thing I was gonna say, bro, is
I said, oh shit.
yeah, no.
I didn't know
But
where you were
let's
going,
just
bro.
take yeah, well, yeah, here, I'm gonna go there right now.
All right, let's
Right?
go. Yeah, run it. Let's
All
go.
right, so but let's just say for example, like you go back 50 years, right, where the gender roles were like um the man provides whatever and the woman, basically does all the stuff around the house, whatever it may be. Like what 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 determines whether or not that's fair, right? Why was that not fair? Why do we now look at that now as like that's not fair?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good fucking point.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, okay, then what is fair? Because from how it looks to me, like the one thing I don't understand, bro, is I think being like a male
Mm-hmm.
gets overlooked. Like, bro, being a man, unless you're just born into wealth, is one of the hardest fucking things you could ever experience, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have anyone most of the time that's been going out of their way to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we really gotta get it. Like we really gotta like get
Right.
the shit on our own, bro. Like there's
Right.
no other way to put it. Like we really do. And so it's like now we're trying to blur the roles. It's like why would we want to take as a woman? I would want to take that and put that on you. And there's roles now, and it goes the opposite way too,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like as a man, there's certain things to me that we're supposed to do. So why are we trying to get rid of certain things? Why are we trying to label certain things as fair or not fair?
I agree with you. Honestly, I do. So two things I'm gonna say before we get out of here. The first thing that I am going to say is that this is just a response for the women based on what you said, right? So when we look at the fairness and equality that women strive for in the workforce, in recognition, in sports, equal pay, right? All those things. I think in that terms of fairness, it should be respected. Because to your point, like how hard men have to work, um, because we aren't, given the easy access, handouts, all these things that certain women get. But to the other side of that, the women that work just as hard as men, if not harder, to get to a certain position, they definitely should be compensated equally.
I agree.
Like when
But do you think they had it? Do you think they like had an easier pathway or a harder pathway than a
harder,
man would?
harder,
You think it'd be harder?
1,000%.
Because
Well,
yeah,
there's no question. To me, there is no question whatsoever that a woman would have it harder in that aspect.
yeah,
Because, okay, yeah, you may have to grind as a man, right, to learn the knowledge, to be seen, things like that, but you're a man, so you're gonna be able to get the recognition faster than opposed to a woman, because
yeah,
there's still those certain ideologies in those spaces that, like, why women shouldn't be in certain positions of power, or why women aren't looked at as hardworking as men, because people still try to place them in a box. And so that's why I think it's so much harder for them. Because, I mean, think about how many more, like, young male CEOs and successful entrepreneurs and things there are versus women. Unless that woman is, like, I hate to say this, but I have to be honest. But, like, unless that woman, majority of the time, if the female is using her sex appeal in some way, it's done. You know what I mean? You can't compete with that as a man.
yeah,
The women that don't do that, these are the ones
yeah,
that I really am talking about, because, bro,
yeah. They
that's
really going hard, bro.
hard. It's
Yeah, they
hard.
really going hard.
Like, hard as fuck.
Yeah,
um, so that's something, like, I can never take away from women, but, like, me personally, I don't know. We've talked about this before, bro. Like, I ride with women very heavy on a lot of things in our society, because I think they should be valued a lot higher and appreciated a lot more than they are. Still to this
sure.
day, because like, my point to that is, like, fuck, bro. I'm just honest, I guess. But, like, I think things like OnlyFans and the way that the highest ticketed women are on, like, Instagram and things, like, bro, it's all sex appeal. It's nothing knowledge based, or things like that that really give them a space to exist and say, I belong here. Because more of you are selling sex for attention and money than really going to fucking get it and change the narrative in these spaces that you want to control more and exist in more.
Yeah,
So I think there's a clash there,
for sure.
for sure. So
I just think it's not like it's, I don't want to knock it, but there's no like value in it, I guess.
I
It's
agree,
like
bro. There's really not, besides the money that these,
that they're making.
yeah, or
Yeah,
like the opportunity they get to meet somebody.
yeah, yeah,
But besides that, yeah, bro, it's like, okay, it might get you the money to do something else that you wanted to do, like business wise, but you're still going to be looked at as that. You're not going to be able to escape that ever,
yeah, for
ever.
sure.
You're not, and that's just the sad fact of it. But the second thing I want to say is that you know, when Sam and I do these, we definitely prep for them, but at the same time, me and him don't really talk much about, like, our perspectives, because we like it to be a very free and open conversation, and surprise each other with some of the things we might say or bring up.
Hell yeah.
So, we'll definitely dive into this again in another episode, because there are some more things that we would like to discuss, some more of the mindset topics that we would like to go over. But, It was a great one today, bro. It's always a pleasure talking to you on here with the people. So,
Always.
you know, stay blessed, y'all. Old head, young shoulders. I'm Jalen Charles, my brother Sam Stove. We'll catch you next time.
That'll be easy.